Hey, welcome to the office in between rooms 43 and 44. I'm going to be showing you the video that I basically forgot to record during class, which I had recorded at that time. And so this will go over kind of the basics of what to do for a portrait shot. We are using, of course, probably not the best portrait ever, but definitely the most beautiful portrait ever, which is this lovely shot of me right here in front of you. So follow along. I'm going to be doing some basics that you're going to want to do on a lot of portraits, and I'm going to be talking briefly about some ethics too behind it. And basically, the extent of that conversation is to consider your subject and to consider what you want to change or not change. Of course, with Photoshop, you can basically change anything. The rule that I use for class is don't change anything that wouldn't be there after a week. Okay, so I don't know if I said that right. If something would be there after a week, don't change it. For instance, here's an example. So if I have some acne on my forehead, and I want to get rid of that because that's something that day to day probably wouldn't be there. In fact, if you look right now, look, it's no longer there. The blemish is gone. So to get rid of the blemish really easily, use the J button so that you select your spot healing brush tool, and then just make your cursor a little bit bigger than the blemish and click, and look, it's gone. Easier than any medication. You can do that, of course, for any kind of blotchiness or spots. This is a wrinkle, so technically this wrinkle, which shows age, you do not want to change because it would be there after a week. But if I were touching this up, one thing I could do is I could actually, using that J tool, the quick healing brush tool, I can actually pull that tool by holding down my my left mouse button. I can pull that all the way across, and look, that wrinkle is gone. I can similarly do that to any of these age wrinkles. Now, this might be great for a magazine, but we don't do it because it's somewhat unethical, because you're really changing some distinct characteristics of the individual. Okay, so doing any of this kind of stuff where you're essentially taking away wrinkles or lines really changes who the person is and changes some parts of their personality and who they are and whatnot. So we don't eliminate those elements. Also, frankly, if you do that, this is a lovely one to look at. If you do that to someone who maybe is of age, a little bit older, and they have wrinkles that suggest that age, if you get rid of it, it'll start to look plasticky and they won't look realistic. So that's the rule. That's the basic kind of rundown of our ethical rule there. I think I read it somewhere or thought it was a pretty good idea, so I adopted it as well. However, using that quick healing brush tool, that J quick button, you can easily and quickly get rid of acne. Also, what you might end up doing is looking at this and saying, well, hair is interesting because hair might not be there after a week, right? So something like this, clearly Mr. Faulkner forgot to shave. So I could quickly and fairly efficiently get rid of all of the beard hair here. Okay, and in doing so, again, what's happening is this tool is identifying the pixels around where I'm clicking and filling the area with those pixels. That's why it maintains the same kind of look of everything around it. Therefore, again, notice, and I've shown you this in class, but if I were to try to get rid of this whole mustache area, and I went like this, oh good, I can just get rid of it easily like this. You'd be wrong. This doesn't look natural. It's not going to work. You can't do a huge space that same way. If I do Control-Alt-Z, step back there, and continue to clean up the beard here. Now, in this case, we don't need to go too far. Obviously, you see what the technique's doing, but I could go throughout this whole area and clean up that beard. Okay. The J tool, again, over here, I call it the J tool because that's the quick button, but the spot healing brush tool, that's a great tool and one you're going to want to utilize quite often. Another great tool is by using H, it selects this hand tool. And the hand tool allows you to grab when I hold down the left mouse button. It allows me to grab and move simply by holding down the left mouse button and then moving my mouse around. I can move the picture around. Obviously, when it's this big, that's not as big of a deal. But if I'm zoomed in, I get really close on this eye. I might want to move this ever so slightly, and it's a lot quicker than trying to move these different sliders back and forth. So I can zoom out by clicking Z. Holding down Alt will do the opposite. If I have Z selected, so the magnifying glass here, and I click, it's going to zoom in. But if I want to click out, I just hold down Alt, the Alt button, and then I can zoom out. And Alt essentially does that for all tools. It's kind of the opposite button, if you will. All right, so some things we might do right away with a portrait is we might look in here and say, okay, what type of things might we want to adjust? One of those things might be the coloration. Okay, notice my cheek is somewhat red. It looks like it might have been sunburnt a little. Who knows? What I can do is push the eye button, which gives us our, up at the corner here, our eyedropper tool. Again, just eye on your keyboard, and you can select any color. Notice as I move around, I have my left mouse button selected, and it's finding the colors that I'm hovering over. I'm going to find a skin tone that I want. I'm going to go in here, try to find something not super pink, since our selection's already pretty pink that we want to cover up. And that's good. And by using my B tool, the brush tool, right now it's huge. What I can do is create a new layer so that I'm not brushing on this original picture. And on that new layer, I can go onto the cheek and essentially brush on that selected color to reduce the redness here. To do that, I want to really lower my opacity and my flow. Again, flow is how much is coming out of the pen. Opacity is how thick it is, essentially. So when I start painting over that, you'll notice it kind of lightens up and smooths out the skin a little bit too. So that's a nice trick if there's some kind of bumpiness on the skin. Be really careful with it because over time it can start to kind of look fake too. You got to be careful. But it's nice because it can get rid of some of that kind of redness. So again, if I click the eyeball here, see what I just did, you can see how it's dulled out that redness. Gradually, you don't really see it, but when you click off that eyeball, it becomes apparent really quickly. And so there you go. Again, the danger is, of course, that these shadows might not look natural. So be careful with how you use the brush tool because it can start to make the subject not look realistic. The next thing I want to show you is one that you'll commonly use as well. And we're going to do this on me because I have no qualms about kind of utilizing my model's face. But in this case, one of the things you're going to want to fix a lot are teeth. Okay, people's teeth yellow over time, especially if you're a teacher who tends to drink a lot of coffee. Your teeth will yellow over time. Now you can spend lots of money getting expensive bleaching fixes, or again, using my brush and selecting white and reducing my opacity quite a bit and my flow quite a bit, I can quickly just clean up. I'm going to do this on a new layer, and I should really rename this the teeth layer, and I'm going to clean this up. And notice it's just that simple to clean this up. And you don't want to make it super white, okay? It shouldn't be fake looking. You want to keep the same shadows, the same colors, but all I'm trying to do is kind of put some white over the yellowness of the teeth. Okay, that's all I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to do it subtly because no one's going to believe my teeth if they're super bright bleached white, okay? But look at the difference there. That's huge. That helps a lot. And when I zoom out, that's a portrait that's going to look a lot better. Okay, there's that difference. Similarly with my eyes, if there's any redness in the eyes, I was having a long day, I can also brush that, and I should make that a new layer, call that the eyes layer, and I can brush that in as well. Okay, and again, I'm just bringing out some white, not trying to do anything dramatic, but just to cover over the look there. So again, the tools I just showed you, some kind of key tools, are the J tool, the quick select J tool, which right here, there's the bell, is our spot healing brush tool, and then the regular brush tool, which is just the paint, okay, and that is down here, the brush tool, that you can quick select with B. Again, you want to be thinking about opacity and flow and how those work. We're going to stop this one here. I know in class I showed you how to make my eyeball bigger and do some stuff like that, and I'll show you that on a later video. All right. get to work. Good luck.